Hi everybody and welcome to Hudson Valley Knits. I'm Amy and I'm inside today because I should have podcast yesterday because it was a gorgeous day out yesterday and it was super warm. It was like in the 60s, but I didn't. I figured I'd do it today, and today it's overcast and very windy and yeah, not today. I I did want I even if it was a nice day, I think I have so much stuff to show you because we're after the Rhinebeck weekend that I just didn't think I really wanted to lug it all down to some outdoors location. Um, I really, really wanted to show you some really beautiful spots around here, especially with the leaves changing, although a lot of them are gone already. But apparently there's the Oktoberfest going on across the river at Bear Mountain Park, Harriman State Park, Bear Mountain Inn, rather. And I just couldn't get over there. I was going to go up Perkins Drive, this beautiful drive, and podcast there. But like I said, just it's too windy, too much stuff to lug around. This is going to be a long one, I'm sure. But I have a couple of important announcements. I hope you don't mind. The first and foremost is the Senior Love Along. So I had put a shout out last week, and I wanted to thank Emily of Fibertown for also putting a shout out because I was really getting nervous that I wouldn't have enough washcloths for all of the people at the nursing home at the VA hospital in Montrose, New York. There's 250 beds, like I said last week, and there were only like 100 and something washcloths posted. So a number of people got in touch with me and said, I just haven't posted mine yet, don't worry. And I just know that a lot of people are stepping up to the plate. Originally, I was going to do this at a nursing home in Stamford, Connecticut, near where I work, through the Salvation Army, but they just never returned my calls. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to keep it local. And I called the nursing home at the VA hospital in Montrose, which is just a couple of minutes down the road from me. And they were thrilled. So it's going to be December 20th, again, at the VA hospital in Montrose, New York. I have some friends and some coworkers that are going to come with me to help me, hand out the gifts. You can start mailing them to me now if you like, but I would like to get them by the end of November. Doesn't have to be by Thanksgiving, like I said last week, but as long as I get them by the end of November. And if you feel so inclined and you have some nice ribbon or something, if you could just tie a ribbon around it, you could either roll it up or fold it and tie a ribbon around it. I just thought that would be a nice presentation. If you can't or don't want to, that's okay, because I also have volunteers that have offered to help me do that at work. So, like, my team at work, not that they report to me, but the team of people I work with, I told them about this. So we usually do like a potluck lunch once a year, and we're doing it in November this year. And they told me to bring them in, and they'll help me do this. So I thought that was really cool. And so the Senior Love Along. I am going to put my address up in the price thread, the chat thread, so that you can you don't have to PM me. You can just start mailing them. It is a post office box, so I don't really feel the need to keep it discreet. So that is looking much better now. If you still plan on knitting more washcloths, just, wait until you have them all done. Don't mail more than once. And if you could make them gender neutral or masculine styles and colors, that would be great. Because most of the patients there are men. and I've gotten more than enough feminine kind of washcloths already. Also, if I have a lot of great prizes, and if you want to donate prizes for it, that's great. The more, the better. Um, and I would also appreciate if you feel so inclined and want to help out. You can donate some money to help me with the shipping costs that I will incur when I have to ship all these prizes out, because there's a lot of prizes, and it adds up, especially because it will be, the holiday season, and I'll be kind of broke anyway. So that's, if you want to help out, that's also a way you can help out if you'd like. So that's the senior love along. I'm so excited about this. I can't tell you how happy I am that that so many people want to help out. And it's not me; it's all of us. I'm just kind of the vessel passing it on, but this is just a great thing. And speaking of great things, I also wanted to mention my patterns are for the rest of October. Half of the proceeds of any patterns I sell in my Ravelry store are going to help Silly Fruit out. So if you want to help Silly Fruit, please, purchase my patterns, and I will give half of the proceeds to her fundraiser cause. Silly Fruit is a beautiful, beautiful, amazing person who is fighting hairy cell leukemia and has also recently lost her job, and I think by now her benefits have run out, or rather she's had to COBRA them, which is very expensive, and also she'll probably have co-pays and the amount that's not covered by insurance, and she's been in the hospital, folks, for a month. So anything we can do to help, we should do. It's just really amazing how people have come together. So again, and you can help me out too by buying the patterns, and like I said, at the end of October, I'm going to donate half of everything to Silly Fruit. So, oh, and I want to talk again about the knit along I'm doing on my in my Ravelry group. I'm doing a podcaster designer knit along. I know there was a similar knit along last year. I think Kim from Craft Stash Podcast did a dynamic duo knit along. For mine, you don't have to do yarn and a pattern by a podcaster, just a pattern. But if you use a podcaster's yarn, like mustache yarn or Lily Man fiber, or who else? Highland Handmade, and you can get double credit for that, a double chance to win. I also wanted to say that if you use a yarn or a podcaster's pattern that's donating proceeds to Silly Fruit, I'll give you another chance on top of that to win the prize for this knit along. And I'm going to do it till the end of December. So you'll have plenty of time to do it. And I have a whole list of podcasters that I know of that have patterns out and that sell yarn if you want to use their yarn and get like a double entry. So check out that and join in the fun. I haven't seen anything yet, so I want to see people knitting up some podcaster patterns. It'll be fun. And of course, you can use it for any other knit along going on in anybody else's Ravelry group. And that, let me go over the rules real quick. Should I do that? I wrote them down, so I might as well. The design has to be from someone who does a podcast, either an audio one or a video one. December 15th I have as the end date. It has to be at least 200 yards. If there is a pattern that you want to knit, because I know there are some podcasters that have like toy patterns, stuffed patterns. You can do those, but you have to combine them so that they total 200 yards. So go ahead and combine little smaller projects to equal at least 200 yard per entry. Extra entry for a podcaster's yarn. And then on top of that, you can even get another one if they donate to Crush the Sack, which is Silly Fru's fundraiser, or if the pattern donates. So those are the rules, and the prize is from my stash. I have a skein of Knitter's Nightmare Batty Sock yarn in the Puppy Love colorway, and you can see it on my stash page. It's there, and that will go to the winner. And if anybody would like to donate a prize, feel free. Let me know. Okay. Now we're at the fun part. I have a lot on the needles, and I might as well start with what I got in my hands here. I have, for my own knit-along, decided to knit Emily's multi-purpose garment, WPG I think she's calling it. You know what? I forget. Let me check real quick. My goodness, I can't believe I forgot what she's calling it. I will let you know in un momento. New pattern, new knit-along. Here it is. I'm going to knit the MPG multi-purpose garment by Chain of Fools, aka Emily, from the Fibertown podcast. And this is it. Let me get my screen back up. I started already. It's like a cowl / wimple / little kind of not really a shawl, but it can go over your shoulders and keep you warm. And I am knitting it out of my Lorna's Laces Honor. I picked this up at Webb's a while back. It's 50% it's baby alpaca and silk. It is amazingly soft and beautiful. Honor. Let's see if it has a color on here because I really love the colorway. Turtle Rodeo. I'm loving this. So here it is. Colors are beautiful. And I'm having, this is like a really mindless knit. I'm having fun knitting up. So that's one work in progress. We also have Mark's Rhinebeck sweater, which is no longer a Rhinebeck sweater because Rhinebeck is over. So now it's going to be his birthday sweater. Did I leave it out? Yeah. So I finished the back. That's right here. I didn't bind off the shoulders, silly me, but that's alright. Here's the back. It's all curled up, so it looks a lot smaller than it is. Isn't it gorgeous? It's made out of Bainin yarn by Alice Starmore, or Virtual Yarns. It's an very thick Aran weight yarn. Here's the Bainin. Really. I've knit with Virtual Yarns before. My last year's Rhinebeck sweater, my Luxentier, was knit with her yarn, and it was awesome. But this Bainin, I've had a lot of pieces that were like coming up like broken, and I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, here's the front. You can see where I left off last time I podcasted. I was where the marker is. So I got a little bit done on this. And Mark's birthday is December 1st. So new deadline. December 1st. Can she do it? We shall see. I also have started a scarf for my son. So my son, when he was living in New York, I had made him a really nice scarf out of city tweed from Knit Picks, and he actually washed it once and it felted, and actually was really nice after he felted it too. So it was nice and warm. It was a beautiful color. It was all cabled, and he lost it in the city. He actually left it somewhere, and then I had knit him just a plain droopy hat, And he said he left that on the train one day. But so, anyway, he's not living in the city anymore. And we were talking, he's like, I really feel terrible. I, lost those. And I need a new scarf. And I was thinking about it, and I had, I have a lot of homespun yarn, hand-spun yarn in my stash that I haven't used up. As a matter of fact, I've hardly used up any of my hand-spun yarn. And I said, well, because he's like, he just loves that I made him this. So I said, oh, how about I knit you up something using some of my hand-spun yarn? And he was like, I am not worthy kind of thing, which, makes you feel real good. So this is actually, I don't know what kind of fiber this is. It's chocolate brown. I had ordered it from Webb's when I first got my Hanson mini spinner about a year ago to practice with. It was not expensive, and it's it's 2-ply, and it's an extremely crappy job. It's not consistent, it's not spun well, it's not plied well, it's overplied in some areas, it's underplied in other areas, but I'm using it. I never got rid of it, and I'm going to use that. And I also have, this was a loop bat. Where's it? It was Earth Mother, and it is merino and tussar silk. This did not come out too bad. It is my let me see if I can get a good, trying to get a good shot of this. Oh, that's better. It is a loop bat that I got from Rhinebeck last year, and it's my first chain ply. And I had brought it to my spinning meetup group, and they helped me chain ply this. And it didn't come out too bad. It's like a worsted weight, maybe a heavy worsted weight. It's got some sections that are not so good, but for the most part, it's pretty consistent. And I think I did a good job. The colors are phenomenal, and he loved it. And so here it is so far. I just did a basic chevron, nothing fancy. I'm not really following anybody's pattern. I just kind of picked up a stitch dictionary, and I'm alternating. So I'm doing like the solid brown and then the loop. Get this out of the water. So I starts with the blue, and I did shorter, shorter intervals at the end. And it turned to a green, and it's kind of progressing into like a sagey green, and then next it will start being like a tan, and then we got the orangey, and then the maroon. So I'm just doing them, I think it's 14 rows of each color, and then when I get to the last couple of colors, I'll kind of wind down so the ends are the same and do the same thing there. And so homespun, not the best yarn I've made, but it's for my son. It's all about mommy did this for me kind of thing, and he's very gushy and sentimental like that, so he's gonna cherish it, I know. And that's for Joe, my baby boy, who's not a baby. And what else I got? More homespun stuff. Let me show. Is that all I'm working on? Where's my socks? Oh, they're in my purse. Here they are. I knew that wasn't it. I have my Canadiana socks. So I didn't knit on these as much because I have been working, I was trying to work more on Mark's sweater than anything else. But here's where the second sock is. And here's what's left. This yarn is just, it's wonderful. I really love it. Here's the first socks. I know I show it every week, but it's great. I'm loving these socks. This yarn, it's only a 2-ply, so I hope it wears okay. I knit it on small needles so that I have a nice tight gauge and it should last a little longer. I really love the simple stripes, and this is my portable knitting. It stays in my pocketbook, and when I'm done with these, I don't know, maybe I probably won't start another. Well, I have to. I need something for my pocketbook. But I'm kind of getting tired of vanilla socks, and so I think I'll go through and either knit an Alice Yu, who is Socktopus, who's kind of not really designing anymore, or I will knit a Hunter Hammerson sock, or maybe even a Cookie A sock. I have books from all three of those amazing sock designers, and I'm ready for something more interesting. So that's my sock. And finally, whips on the knitting needles. This is kind of out of hibernation now. This is my first hand-spun sock. This is hand-spun poonies from Naturally Knitty, and I chain-plied. They're very thick. The chain-plying is kind of inconsistent. You can see not a great job, but it's okay. These are not going to be worn in, like, I mean, you can see here. Really not good. This was my first experience knitting poonies, and before that I didn't use my spindles much at all because I didn't like spinning on my spindle with braids of fiber or anything like that until I tried the poonies, and it was so much fun. It was like nirvana. So I got 4 ounces. I bought 4 ounces from Naturally Knitty, and this sock is the first 2 ounces, and that's how much I have left. I stopped there because I wasn't sure how the second 2 ounces was going to spin up. So I spun the second 2 ounces on my Bosworth spindle, and I took it with me to Rhinebeck because I took a chain plying class from JC Boggs. And this is what I brought to chain ply. And it came out amazing. And the class was amazing. And I'm going to talk about that at the end. But here is the yarn for my second sock. It's perfect. And she's such a great teacher. If you could take a class with JC Boggs, you should. And I love the fiber. Thank you, Jess from Naturally Knitty, and thank you, JC, for helping me ply it pretty much perfectly in my book. It's a lot more consistent than the first skein was. It's also a lot thinner than the first skein was. So we'll see how it knits up, but I'm going to cast on for my second stock. I didn't want to cake it up, though, until I showed it to you. So I will be starting this soon. Actually, this will probably be my next sock when I finish the Canadiana socks. I'll cast this on. I'm going to sneeze. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay. Those are my knitting work in progress. I have been spinning a lot. And plying a lot. Actually, mostly plying a lot. And I should probably, well, I'll show you that when I get to the class. I have been plying a lot because I took the plying class from JC at Rhinebeck, and so all week I've been plying up stuff that I've been holding on to ply after I took the class. So let me show you. I have 2 things to show you for spinning. I finished the Naturally Knitty poonies, so that I grabbed my On the Round poonies. I have 3 ounces of these. Let me take them. They are grayscale, merino wool, and angora. Let me pull one out so you can see. Actually, there's enough on the So here's what I've spun up so far. Here's the rest of this pony. This has like a white to gray gradient on it, and what I've been doing is I've just been spinning the white part of the pony, and when it starts to go just the slightest bit gray, I stop and grab a new one. So I'm spinning all of the white first. Let me see if I can get a, and then I'm going to do this medium gray scale, and then I'm going to go to the charcoal, and so that the whole single is going to be like a gradient. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin each bag of 1 ounce of ponies. I'm going to spin each one of those. I'm going to 3-ply them and make some kind of nice soft cowl with it. So this is like been a dream as well to spin up on my spindle. Great stuff. I dropped it, excuse me. So that I've been spinning a lot on. It's great to throw in the purse, and I've been looking forward to spinning these. And I did start them before I finished the Naturally Nitty Ponies, but I really have gone full force into it since I finished the other ones. I'm pretty monogamous. I don't work on a lot of different things at once usually. Another thing I've been spinning on is my new Bosworth spindle that I got in Rhinebeck. This is gorgeous. Let's see if I can. Can't catch the beauty of it. It's birchwood. It is a mini that I do remember, and it's birchwood, I want to say, but I forget what the shaft is. It's so gorgeous. I love it. And this is a gourmet stash pony. It's actually a few of them that was gifted to me by Emily, Chain of Fools, from the Fibertown podcast. We met at Rhinebeck on Sunday, and she gave these to me as a little gift. Here's the one that's left. Where is it? She gave me a little sample pack of 4 of them. Gosh, I'm really losing my mind because now I don't know what I did with that one pony. Oh, here it is. So I just have one left, and let me take it out of the bag. So this gourmet stash pony are really, really divine to spin. This is like a beautiful emerald color. I can't do it justice here. Let me turn off. You really can't see the beautiful green that well. I'm going to spin these up. I'm going to chain ply them, and I was thinking I might send these back to Emily, and she can use them on her sock yarn blanket. She's working on it. Would be perfect. Either she could do a barnyard square, or she can use it on her scrap blanket, whichever she wants. But this has been really nice to spin up, and now I'm probably going to have to splurge and buy myself some gourmet stash ponies one of these days, as soon as she gets some up on her shop. I did look, confession. I'm really upset that I can't find, oh, here it is. Here's my thing for my spindle. So it is 0.96 ounces or 27 grams. It is considered a midi, and it's birch. Here's the Picasso spindle. Like I said, it's birch. They were at Rhinebeck, and I had to show a lot of restraint just to buy one. And I love it. And it's just amazing to spin with. Beautiful. I'm getting quite the collection of spindles here. And next year, I'm going to buy like a featherweight one. Yeah, definitely. Buy a featherweight one next year. So that is my spinning. I don't have anything on my wheel right now. I have some Highland Handmaids fiber ready to go, but I haven't started it yet. But I definitely have picked it as my next project. The last thing I want to show you, which I am very proud of, by the way, is I had, if you've been watching, you've seen that I had spun up a loop bump in and originally I was going to bring that to the chain ply class with JC Boggs for Rhinebeck, and I spun it, specifically for that. But because I had finished the Poonies from Naturally Knitty, and because the first skein I had chain plied from those Poonies had come out not so good, I decided to bring that instead. And it ended up, she actually gave out fiber during the class for us to spin up and practice with, which was great. But so when I got home, naturally the first thing I wanted to do was ply this up. And that is what I did. Now I learned a lot from it. It looks great, but I did learn some valuable lessons. This is, like I said, a loop bat, and this is chain plied, and this came out so nice and even, and the chain plying came out great. The twist is perfect. The energy is a little perfect. There's no, this has already been soaked. It should twist a little bit. It's really kind of lost a lot of energy. So maybe I should have done a little more Z-twist in the singles. But I am still amazingly proud of this. I have no idea how many yards this is, but it came out really thin. And for the most part, I applied through this with the greatest of ease. It was a joy and a pleasure, and I kind of felt like JC Boggs there for a little while, because when she was demonstrating stuff for us, she would just be plying away, and it was so natural for her, and oops, it broke, and I just, but without even pausing on the wheel, she's rejoining, and I'm like, oh my God, I'd have died if that happened to me. And so I was getting a little cocky, and then I got to the last color, which is this beautiful turquoisey bluish color, which is actually my favorite of all the colors. And my yarn kept breaking. Now, I had plied this whole darn thing, and not one yarn split or broke. It was beautifully, beautifully done by me. But this light blue here was breaking every freaking time I pulled some off the bobbin. It had been sitting on the bobbin a long time. It wasn't unrolling from the bobbin fluidly. It was getting stuck on itself, and I don't know if it's because I had it sitting on a bobbin for so long, but it was literally just pulling apart, and it was very obvious that I had not put enough twist in it, and it was much thinner than the rest of the bobbin, the rest of the single on the bobbin, and I kept trying to join it as she showed us. Basically, she said if your singles break, you should just spit splice them together. Which, if you don't know, is you literally take some spit and put the two ends in the palm of your hand and kind of felt them together, and then just keep going. And I tried that, but again, there was not enough twist in the single, and this was the very beginning of my bump, so I was just a little too thin. And I must have adjusted later on, but it was not working, and I was actually cursing and doing crazy things, and my husband had to intervene and tell me to put it down and come to bed, and it's not worth it, just throw it away. And I'm like, no, it's too pretty. So the next day what I did is I took this last color and I just put it through the wheel again, and I put more twist in it. And I actually think I put too much twist in it. So it didn't come apart much after that. And I applied the rest of it up. But there's some sections of this color that will be not so nice. And I learned. I definitely learned that I needed much more twist and just not to spin it that thin. I was really trying too hard to spin it thin. But overall, this was just a joy to spin, and I love it. I got a lot of yards out of it. I'm really not sure how many. I'll count it up and I'll put it in the show notes on the blog. But it's so excited. I'm going to definitely knit a shawl with this. I just don't know what. Maybe, I don't know. I keep saying maybe I'll design something, but it's so time consuming to put a design together. But I really want to because I'm just so proud of this one. That came out really nice. So thank you, JC, for teaching us in an excellent way how to chain ply. Now this is still just a tad bit damp, so I'll probably put it on the radiator tonight, and by tomorrow it'll be perfectly dry. It smells really good. And just so you know, it's Loop Bat. It's about 5.3 ounces. The colorway is Mother Nature. And it is Merino, Bamboo, Tussa Silk, and Angelina. Extremely luxurious. I just love it. So she's a great teacher. And I was going to talk about Rhinebeck at the end, and that's one of the main things from the Rhinebeck weekend was my class with JC Bond. So by the way, here's the thing for the Gourmet Stash Puni samples that Emily gave me. Merino, Yak, and Silk. And Superwash Merino, I think that says. But thank you again, Emily, if you're watching. Thank you so much for these, and I'm sending them back to you for your blanket. Are you ready for the Rhinebeck stash? Let's see, did I cover everything? Ooh, one more thing I want to tell you about is the Woolly Wormhead Mystery Knit Along that she does every year. She's doing another one, and it starts November 1st, and I'm doing it. So I wanted to show you. It's this year it's with a fingering weight yarn. Last year it was more with a sport weight yarn. And this is what I'm knitting my hat out of. Just showing you. Haven't started it yet. I do need to swatch. But look at this beautiful yarn. I got this at Vogue Knitting Live 2 years ago. Not last year's, but the year before. It is Hedgehog Fibers sock yarn in a one-of-a-kind colorway called Wildflower. So let's see here. Here's the sleeve. They are located in Europe, so but I think they sell them here in the United States now. And I'm not sure where, but I did hear it on the Stephen West with his new mystery shawl knit along is with Hedgehog Fibers. And there is a company in the U.S. that's shipping them out for his knit along. So you can find it in the U.S. if you want to get some. So that is my spinning and knitting stuff. And now for the Rhinebeck stash. I am really sorry. You know, I was watching Minerva Turkey's podcast before I started recording mine, and she talked about how when you don't get to go to Rhinebeck, it can be a bit of a bummer to see all these podcasts with people talking about Rhinebeck this and that. And I'm really sorry because I can see how that might suck. And I kind of feel that way after some of the knitting events like the Zombie Girls knitting event and the SSK, and even like there's one in Maine going on right now that I would love to go to. And I can't. And so I understand how that is, and I know how lucky I am that I live in a location that is like an hour or so south of Rhinebeck and about an hour north of New York. So, and only a couple of hours from Stitches East. So there's like 3 major events that are very easy for me to go to that are beautiful, wonderful experiences. And Rhinebeck is one of them. Vogue New York and Stitches East. I didn't go to Stitches East this year. Last year it was really, really kind of, I would say it was like half of the people that I had seen the year before, so it's really kind of slowing down a bit, but it's still a wonderful event. Alright, so now to talk about some stash enhancements. So first I'm going to talk about some stash enhancements that are non-Rhinebeck, and I'm going to start with this really special one. And you'll know why it's special as soon as I show you. This is from Highland Handmaids. It's her sock yarn. It's the sugar maple sock yarn, 425 yards in the, she's calling it Fruju colorway. It's black and all these neon rainbow colors because that's what Wendy, aka Silly Fru, loves. And this is a Crush the Sack supporter yarn. And it's gorgeous. And I know a lot of work went into making these colors for her. And this is what blew me away. Okay, so I've raised a little bit of money selling patterns for Silly Fru. It's not much, but I know every little bit counts. And I also bought some yarn from Kirby Werby, Cherie. I don't know how much she raised, but look at this. Look at this. This little thank you note. $2,380 just from Highland Handmaids for this yarn. Heather, you are effing amazing. Thank you so much for doing all this work pretty much for nothing. I hope you at least covered your costs. And I feel like crying because this knitting community is like freaking amazing. The people are amazing. I've seen it so many times where people are in need and everybody comes together and helps. And dang, over $2,000. And she does this for a living. Like, this is her livelihood. So she's giving a lot more than just her time, you know? So you rock, Heather. And thank you for doing this for Silly Fru. And we love you, Wendy. And if you can, order some of this, but also buy something else so she can make some money. Good stuff. So I just wanted to share that. This is gorgeous too. I really love it. And I can't wait to knit it up. So that is the one purchase. I also ordered, where is it? Oh, here it is. This was an impulse buy that I kind of wish I didn't buy. Not that it isn't beautiful. This is Expression Fiber Arts. And I'll probably make a hat with it. It's gorgeous colors. But it's 100% silk. And I didn't really think about that when I ordered it. I just like fell in love with the color. But there's two things. Not a reflection on the dyer or Expression Fiber Arts. It's gorgeous. My yarn of choice is not single ply, and this is single ply. So I like 2-ply. I don't really go for single ply yarns. And B, it's 100% silk, which is luxurious, but I don't like knitting with 100% silk because it's kind of flat, and I like kind of squishy, bouncy. And I find silk, I like no more than 20 or 30% silk in a yarn. I love silk in a yarn, but it has to be less than like 30%. Because I knit a pair of mitts, which I don't have handy to show you, with 50-50 merino and silk, and they get like matty, and they don't look fresh, and you can always give wool a bath and it just bounces right back, but silk not so much. So I will make something nice with this. I just wish I had paid attention to the fiber content before I rushed to her site and went, click, bye. So this is, like I said, Expression Fiber Arts. It is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. And she does have other blends besides 100% silk. And it is pearlescent silk worsted. It's 225-yard put up, which is really good. Um, and hand wash only. Shifting Shadows is the colorway name, and it's beautiful black. This is her version of Halloween colors. So Shifting Shadows, I think it's gorgeous. It has the black in it that makes it kind of Halloweeny, and then I see the blue and the purple is like colors of the night. So it really is a gorgeous job. I just wish I had gotten not 100% silk. Live and learn. All right, so those are my two non-Rhinebeck purchases. Now for the Rhinebeck stuff. You saw my spindle, my beautiful spindle. And you saw me knitting on this, but what you didn't see was something else I picked up at Rhinebeck, which is this yarn carousel. And I love it. Oh my gosh, it's so great. So it was only $32. And it spins really nice and easy. Your cake doesn't go flippy floppy all over the place. It was really easy to get this on and off. And I'm loving it. I just leave this sitting on my desk and I pick this up and it just really kind of rolls. The only thing is I'm in our bedroom, and sometimes if my husband's like trying to sleep, he doesn't like the noise it makes. That's the only downfall. It does make a lot of noise when it spins around, but really it's an awesome design. I'd seen these when I was at the Webb's tent sale. There was someone selling them, and they were asking like $45. So $32 is a really good price. And again, it's from Mount Rutson Studio. There's just a phone number on here. And he was a vendor at Rhinebeck, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So I got that. I got the spindle. Those were my two prize purchases because I wasn't in the I wasn't there for a lot of yarn because I have way too much yarn. But I did buy some, which and to me it doesn't seem like a lot, but to you it might seem like a lot. One thing I got that I loved was 2 skeins of Socks That Rock. And I got these Sunday because I'm just not interested in the mob scene. So I went to like Miss Babs, and I went to the Socks That Rocks on Sunday when towards the end of the day too. Because I'm not a line person, and there's nothing good enough that's going to make me want to spend my Rhinebeck time online for an hour and a half to 2 hours. I'd rather be walking around and seeing people, and I'm going to talk about that at the end. So I got 2 colors. I got a medium weight one, which my husband picked out, and he picked out the colorway Rocktober, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and I kind of so want to keep it for myself, but no, he wants a pair of socks, and the medium weight would be good for him. He just kills his socks. I knit him socks, and they felt in the heels right away. He's on his feet all day as a chef. But he loves colors, and I'm going to knit him a really cool pair of socks, and I'm going to design them myself, and I'm going to use my Craftsy sock knitting class to get all the measurements right and make sure it fits, because his feet aren't long, but he has thick feet, so the circumference has to be much thicker, and and the heel, the gusset, I'm afraid to try a Fish Lips Kiss heel with him. But the last pair of socks I made him, and it worked out really good. I just did less gusset decreases, so he had more room to pull the sock around his ankle and his heel. So this is going to be for Mark. And I picked this one out for myself. It's the colorway The Cluck Chimes at Midnight. And I have no idea what that's a reference to, but I love these colors. They're gorgeous. And like many other people, I could be a Socks That Rock junkie. My favorite socks are Socks That Rock socks. They are fantastic. I have some socks. I have some Blue Moon fibers that I haven't spun up yet. I bought them like a year ago, and they're so beautiful. I've been afraid to spin them, and I think I'm going to try that soon now that I'm got a little more talent as a spinner. So I got those two, and then the other thing I got, which was stuff I saw last year at Rhinebeck, and I had regrets not purchasing, because I've seen some of the beautiful things other people have been making, was the optic yarn gradients, and I got the midnight gradient. So I'm not sure. It's super wash merino wool, cashmere, and nylon. 15 mini skeins, 30 yards each, so it's a total of 450 yards. Let me see if you can see the colorway. If not, yeah, see there's a little bit of reflection. I'm not taking it out. I took it out once and I regretted it. I took a picture though outside earlier today, and I kind of did it in the shade, and I got a good picture of the colors. But it's like it's a deep green to blues to indigo to violet to like a midnight purple. And I was thinking how beautiful that would look with the gradients that Miss Babs was selling. Like a gray, and then one of these, and then another dark gray, and then one of these, and then the next gray. That would be a humongous shawl, though, because this total yardage, 665 yards. That would be really big. But there is this pattern on Ravelry that I have in my queue that has these pops of colors. So maybe I'll just, I bought this first, and let's see if I can find that pattern. I know it's in my queue somewhere, and I really love it. It was really popular. A lot of people. Dang. Come on, where are you? Are you at the end? Must be at the end. So beautiful. But anyway, it's like a solid colored shawl, but it has like these little pops of color. Not a lot of rose, but just a few with like these little bobbly things in there, and I can't find it right now. If I do come across it, I will show it to you, and I will definitely put a link in the show notes and mention the name. Darn, this is so discouraging. I really don't know what I'm going to do with these two, but I kind of want to use them together. Otherwise, I'll just have to use sock yarn in here for that multicolored one that I'm trying to remember the name of. That I don't know if you could tell, but I'm kind of scrolling through trying to find it in my Ravelry queue. These, in some way, I would love to incorporate this, but the grays will definitely be incorporated with color, either from, maybe I'll spin some colorful ponies and put them in the middle, or I will use some sock yarn scraps. But either way, I just love this. And this year, the fiber optic ones were like the first ones I bought. And then, like I said, I went to Miss Babs on Sunday when there was no line. And I picked up this one because I love gray with like really bright colors. And she actually had something knit up as a sample that had hot pink. And it was all I could do to restrain myself from picking up a skein of the hot pink sock yarn. But then I was like, no, Amy, no. You have tons of sock yarn scraps that you could put in here, and they would just be perfect. And I guess I didn't put that shawl in my queue because I just went through my whole queue, and I can't find it. So I will find the name, and I will put it in the show notes with a link, and I'll probably be knitting it up sooner than I thought because I got a really great yarn to do it with. So I really love these two. Really love it, and I love gray with pops of color, so this would be great. And then lastly, I got a little fiber from Into the World. I didn't get any loop bats because I think I have like 3 loop bats left. They were at Vogue Knitting Live last year as well as Rhinebeck's, and I've only spun up 2 of my bats so far. And because they're so fluffy, they take up a lot of space, and so I decided I'm just gonna finish what I got, and then I'll buy more if I feel so inclined. This I'm gonna take out just a wee bit so you can see the beautiful colors. Now, my friend Sandy said I was matching what I was wearing, and I was wearing my Rhinebeck sweater at the day I got these. But it's purples and orange, and it reminded me of Halloween and autumn, and I love the deep purple. And the colorway is called Ramble, and it's merino and tufted silk, 80-20. So for me, that's just the right amount of silk. And so this is about 4 ounces. And then I grabbed this other colorway, which is Polworth and Tessa Silk. And this is the Mackenzie colorway, obviously based on Outlander series, which I'm a nutcase over. And I'm so upset we have to wait till April. It's just terrible. Has the same purple in it. So I was thinking these would be great plied together. So this has grays, purples, and just a hint of the orange too. And I think they would go really well together. So I'm going to play with these two together. This is, again, the Mackenzie colorway, and it's gorgeous. And it's Into the World. And I kind of feel so lucky because I can go to Rhinebeck and buy Into the World fibers and not have to worry about getting into their fiber club. Yeah, so that is all the Rhinebeck stash, and it's already an hour, and I knew this was going to be a long one, and there's so much to talk about with Rhinebeck because mostly it's about the people, and the first thing I just want to say is my husband took the whole weekend off, and my husband's a chef. It's not easy for him to get a weekend off, and he was with me all weekend. It was so wonderful to have Mark there. We had so much fun. He loved checking out the cheeses and all the wines. He bought like a case of wine. He bought a ton of cheese. And he got to meet a lot of my Nitty friends. He got to meet Emily from Fibertown. And he was with me when I met Minerva Turkey and took the picture of her and I together. And it was just, I can't tell you how much it meant to me that he went to so much trouble to come to Rhinebeck with me. And while I was in my class, he just did his thing, checking out the food. We also went with a lot of my really good knitting buddies, and I met some new people who were friends of Sandy's that came in from out of town. And we went out for dinner afterwards, and we had the most fantastic day Saturday. Saturday I did a little bit of shopping in the morning, and mostly looked around the main area with the big, I'll call them barns, but they're kind of like warehouses almost, where the more retail, mostly retail, not all retail, vendors are, like Into the World and Miss Babs and Fiber Optic and all those. The barns, the real barns, which are kind of like on the other side of the grounds, they have most of the indie and local farmers and smaller businesses. So I didn't get a chance to go there at all on Saturday because I had the most amazing spinning class with JC Boggs on Saturday afternoon about chain plying. She's an excellent teacher, and it was an excellent class, and I got a lot out of it. And you can tell if you saw my sock yarn that I showed you earlier, the difference between how well my first skein and my second and the skein I did chain plied after JC's class. So kudos to her. I didn't make it to the podcaster meetup because of that class, which I'm going to try not to do next year, but I did manage to run into the Stuck in a Zombie ladies, Amy and Megan. You guys are so beautiful, wonderful people, and I love this. And this is going, I haven't brought it to work yet, so I could show you guys, but they gave me one of their cards, and they gave me a cute pen, and this is going at my desk at work, because this is where I need this the most. thank you for handing these out. That was really, really sweet. And God bless you both. That was really cool meeting you. I also met two of the ladies from Two Tangled Skein, and I met my good friend Sharon from Moms with Yarn, who's the Bronx knitter. And we're making plans for next year to stay the weekend and maybe share a place. So more about that, I guess, when we get closer to next year. But I'm definitely, next year, I want to do sleepovers because it's exhausting driving. Oh, and talking about driving, so I got to share this story with you. Not only was last weekend Rhinebeck for me, but it was my 30-year high school reunion. Okay? Yeah. That's me. That's my senior picture. That's my necklace that I had to wear that night. So that was Friday night. And now, I'm not a big drinker, but I drink wine and stuff once in a while. I think I had like 3 or 4 glasses of wine because it was literally right across the street from where we live. So Mark and I just walked over there. It was like a banquet hall that we had rented for it, and I was on the committee too. We had the bestest time. We got home at 1 o'clock in the morning, and like I said, we live here. Some people were traveling like an hour. We got to bed, and then I wanted to get up there when it opened. And we were supposed to meet Sandy and her friends at 7:30 for breakfast, and then we were going to all head up. It's about an hour and 15 or 20 minutes north of us. Well, Mark and I got up, and I was driving, and let me tell you, I didn't feel good Saturday morning. I usually don't drink 4 glasses in one night, but really, I didn't think it was that much, and I didn't feel drunk. But I woke up the next morning, and I was nauseous. I was extremely tired, and I had a terrible headache. And we were like halfway up, and Mark was not feeling good either. And I'm like, Mark, I have to pull over. I can't do this. So we pulled over, and we set the alarm on our iPhone, and I slept for like 20 minutes. Drank a big bottle of water, and I felt fine after that. But, ooh, man, it killed me. So, anyway, we got up there, and we spent Saturday with Sandy and crew. I also wanted to show you really quick. I took the class, so I got like a little grab bag. And look at some of the cute things that were in the grab bag. Got this little postcard from Cozy Rabbit Farm with a little coupon as well. And then I got this card this was from Quality Products from Our Own Flock, Weston Hill Farm. WestonHillFarm.com. But look at this little, this is a really nice card. It's blank inside, but isn't that a gorgeous picture? So these were a couple of the gifts in the little goodie bag. I'm going to show you the rest because I think it deserves to be shown because these vendors gave free stuff, and that adds up. We got some little fiber sample from Into the World. Thank you, Into the World. A little fiber sample from Grown to Make Buckwheat Bridge Angoras. Thank you, Buckwheat Bridge Angora. And I got this little sample from Scandinavian Weaver and Knit.com. This is a significant skein, and I probably won't use this. If anybody wants this, it's an ounce of 70% kid mohair and 30% silk. Let me know. It's a 275 yards, 1 ounce. I don't usually knit with mohair, but I appreciate these little gifts, and I want to show them to you. And what else can I say? So Sunday when I went up with my husband, Sandy and her friends didn't go Sunday. We mostly walked around, and actually my daughter Rachel, who lives up that way, met us there. And it was so good to see Rachel because I don't see her much anymore now that she's moved out of the house and living with her boyfriend like an hour north of us. So we got to see Rachel, and that was really, really nice. And we went out to dinner afterwards and had dinner with Rach at a diner on the way back. And but we walked around more and checked out the sheep. I did less shopping and more walking around. I helped Rachel pick out it. She only bought one skein. She wants to make like an ear muff. But what I did more was I checked out the barns with the sheep, different sheep breeds, and I was looking at the little fiber samples. Now that I've been spinning a year, I kind of know a little bit about fiber, not nearly enough. But one thing I noticed checking out the different yarns was that I am in love with CBM yarn. Where's the card? So this farm was there. And I'm going to buy me a sweater's worth of yarn from them. Because this CBM yarn is really nice. Squishy. Woolen plied. It is really good. I want to get fiber and I want to get yarn and I want to make a sweater with it. And I'm going to buy it from this farm here. They have yarn and fiber. There's a little fiber sample on here, but I checked out that most of these stalls had a sample of the fiber and a sample of the yarn that you could see how it spun up and you could see how the fiber was. And I'm going to get me some CBM when I get my stash down a little bit and I'm ready to knit another sweater. That's going to be the kind of yarn I use. So I mentioned Minerva Turkey and Two Tangled Skeins and the Succulent Zombie Ladies. I really didn't meet as many people as I had hoped to meet. That I found out were there that I just didn't meet. So that kind of made me sad that I didn't get to meet more people. But next year, like I said, I'm going to make an extra effort to make it to the podcaster meetup and the Ravelry meetup on Saturday so I can meet more people. And you know what? With that, I'm going to say goodbye. There's so much more I could talk about. But the one thing I want to say is if you can make a trip to Rhinebeck, you should definitely go at least once. And it's an experience of a lifetime. It's a wonderful experience. And you should all try to do it if you possibly can. And with that, I say I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for hanging in for the extra long episode, and I'll talk to you soon. Ciao for now. Happy knitting.